The classic sitcom What's Happening brought laughter and unforgettable moments to TV screens in the 1970s, but for many of its beloved stars, life off-screen was marked by tragedy. While some battled long illnesses, others were lost to sudden accidents or unforeseen circumstances. In this video, we pay tribute to 44 actors from What's Happening who have sadly passed away, reflecting on their careers, personal struggles, and the legacies they left behind. Join us as we remember the stars who made this show special and the heartbreaking stories behind their untimely departures. Fred Berry portrayed Freddie Rerun Stubbs in What's Happening. In 1976, at the age of 25, Rerun was a comedic, energetic dancer known for his red beret and suspenders, often getting into trouble due to his love for food and fun. However, Berry's real life was plagued by struggles. After the show ended, he was heavily typecast, leading to a sharp decline in his career. He turned to drugs and alcohol, which exacerbated his financial troubles. He married 6 times, including 3 failed marriages to the same woman, but none brought lasting happiness. His weight skyrocketed, causing severe health issues, and at one point, he was homeless, forced to stay in shelters. Later, he became a minister, but his past demons continued to haunt him. On October 21, 2003, he died alone in his Los Angeles apartment at the age of 52 from natural causes, a tragic end to a life once filled with laughter.
Stubbs, my close friends call me Rerun, but you can call me yours.
And you can call me a doctor because you make me sick.
Mabel King brought warmth and strength to her role as Mama Thomas in What's Happening. In 1976, at the age of 44, she played a tough but loving mother, always guiding her children with wisdom and discipline. Off-screen, however, her life was filled with heartbreak. She left the show when producers refused to depict a complete black family, and her career never fully recovered. Her personal life was even more tragic. Her only son, Larry, died young, leaving her devastated. Her marriage ended in divorce, and she spent her later years battling severe diabetes. The disease ravaged her body, leading to the amputation of both legs and one arm, leaving her wheelchair-bound and reliant on caregivers. By the end of her life, she was largely forgotten by Hollywood, spending her final days in a hospital. She passed away on November 9, 1999, at the age of 66 from complications related to diabetes, a once powerful woman reduced to frailty and isolation.
All of it. But, Mama, and I wouldn't say but if I were you. It might give me an idea, dear. I'll just hold this for you.
Shirley Hemphill became the unforgettable Shirley Wilson in What's Happening. In 1976, at the age of 29, as the sharp-tongued, quick-witted waitress at Rob's Place, she kept the boys in line with her humor and sass. But behind her commanding screen presence was a life of solitude. She never married, never had children, and devoted herself entirely to her career, which never quite reached the heights she dreamed of. After What's Happening ended, she struggled to find roles, eventually returning to stand-up, but Hollywood had moved on. Her health declined due to obesity and diabetes, and she became increasingly isolated, rarely seen in public. By the late 1990s, she was living alone, her once bright career now a distant memory. On December 10, 1999, at the age of 52, she died in her home from kidney failure. Her body was not discovered for days, a tragic end for a woman who had once filled rooms with laughter but spent her final moments alone.
Hey, Shirley, you coming to Betty's party?
Yeah, I think so.
You want me to get you a lift?
All right.
Good. There'll be a tow truck in front.
Fritzi Burr stepped into the role of Miss Collins in What's Happening. In 1977, at the age of 53, her character was a no-nonsense, dedicated teacher who genuinely cared for her students. However, in her personal life, Burr struggled with loneliness. She never married, never had children, and poured herself entirely into her acting career. While she enjoyed steady work in television, she never achieved true stardom, and as she aged, roles became scarce. Financial struggles followed, forcing her to live modestly, far from the glamour of Hollywood. In her final years, she became reclusive, with few close friends or family to support her. On January 17, 2003, she died at the age of 78 from natural causes, her passing receiving little public attention. A woman who once commanded the classroom with strength and authority faded into near anonymity, her legacy largely overlooked.
All right, class. We have a lot to cover today, so let's settle down and cover it.
Thalmus Rasulala played Bill Thomas, Raj, and Dee's father in What's Happening? In 1976 at the age of 41. His character was a caring but absent father, offering wisdom when he could. In reality, Rasulala was a respected actor, best known for his powerful presence in blaxploitation films and television. Despite a promising career, he never found lasting mainstream success and was frequently cast in supporting roles. His personal life mirrored his on-screen role. He was married twice, but both marriages ended in divorce, leaving him estranged from his children. He carried the weight of disappointment, knowing his talent far exceeded the roles he was given. In the 1980s, his health began to decline, though he kept working, appearing in films and TV shows like Roots and Beverly Hills Cop 2. He was plagued by financial instability, and as his health worsened, he withdrew from the public eye. On October 9, 1991, at the age of 55, he suffered a fatal heart attack.
Well, I know you won't believe this.
This is true.
But I found myself a steady job, and I moved back into town for good.
This town?
Yeah, I decided.
Teddy Wilson portrayed Al Dunbar in What's Happening? In 1976 at the age of 33, embodying a smooth-talking con artist who was always looking for his next hustle. His natural charisma made him a standout, but his career was hindered by Hollywood's tendency to typecast black actors, limiting him to minor or stereotypical roles. Despite his talent, he struggled to find consistent work outside of sitcoms, leading to mounting financial stress. He married actress Joan Pringle, and while they had 2 children, his long periods of unemployment put a strain on their relationship. As his career declined, he turned to alcohol, and his health deteriorated rapidly. By his mid-40s, he suffered from high blood pressure and other ailments, which he largely ignored. On July 21, 1991, at just 47 years old, he suffered a massive stroke and passed away, leaving behind a family who had seen him battle disappointment and unfulfilled potential for years.
Dunbar, we really can't do this. Okay, kids, if you really can't do it, it's fine with me. But see, you're going to have to tell Brother Bruno here that...
Ravid joined What's Happening? In 1977 at the age of 28, playing Gene, a lively and optimistic character who brought energy to the show. Off-screen, however, his life was anything but stable. He initially found success in films like Car Wash and Thank God It's Friday, but his career took a downward spiral as he became deeply involved in extreme religious movements, which alienated him from friends and colleagues. His erratic behavior made him difficult to work with, and he soon found himself unemployed and struggling financially. His marriage suffered under the weight of his instability, and he became increasingly isolated. On February 20, 1983, police responded to reports of a disturbance at his home, where he was found behaving irrationally. A violent scuffle ensued, and in the midst of the chaos, he suffered a fatal heart attack at just 33 years old. His death was as shocking as it was tragic, a stark contrast to the vibrant character he once played.
$65 a month, you say?
No, I said 60.
Oh, then it must have been me who said 65.
That's where you heard it, Mama. You got it. I'll be by tomorrow with my things. Thank you very much.
Helen Martin played Millie in What's Happening? In 1976 at the age of 67, bringing warmth and humor as the forgetful but lovable neighbor. A dedicated actress, she spent decades working on stage before transitioning to television, yet despite her talent, she never found financial security. She never married, believing that men found her career-driven nature intimidating, and she had no children, leaving her with few close family ties in her later years. Though respected in the industry, she often struggled with loneliness, especially as old age brought severe health problems, including arthritis and heart disease. In her final years, she became reclusive, rarely leaving her home as mobility issues worsened. On March 25, 2000, at the age of 90, she suffered a fatal heart attack, passing away alone in her Los Angeles apartment, her death serving as a somber reminder of how the industry often forgets its pioneers.
What do you want to do?
I like to have some peanut butter.
Okay, you go right ahead.
Nathaniel Taylor played Ike in What's Happening. In 1977, at the age of 39, bringing a laid-back and calming presence to the show as Rerun's brother-in-law. Though he was a beloved part of the series, Taylor's acting career never reached great heights, and he struggled to find steady work after the show ended. He took on various odd jobs to support himself and his family, but financial hardship followed him for much of his life. His marriage was fraught with tension, and he and his wife separated multiple times before eventually divorcing. As he aged, he faced declining health, battling heart disease and diabetes, which left him in and out of hospitals in his later years. On February 27, 2019, he suffered a fatal heart attack at the age of 80. His passing received little media attention, a quiet end for an actor who had once been a familiar face on television.
Feet down off the furniture, that's what's happening.
Is that any way to talk to the man who's gonna make you rich?
Hey, man, put it down. Yeah. Hey, well, your pics have been...
Danny Wells played Bert Frederick in What's Happening. In 1976 at 35, portraying a quirky and humorous character who added lighthearted moments to the show. Despite his comedic timing, Wells struggled in Hollywood, often relegated to minor roles that provided little stability. His career, though steady, lacked major breakthroughs, leaving him constantly chasing fleeting opportunities. His personal life was marked by instability, his marriage suffered due to his long absences and financial struggles, ultimately ending in divorce. His only son, resentful of his father's erratic lifestyle, distanced himself, leaving Wells heartbroken. Desperate for financial security, he invested in a restaurant business that ultimately failed, pushing him into bankruptcy. In his later years, he faced declining health and increasing isolation, with few friends remaining in the industry. On November 28, 2013, at 72, he lost his battle with cancer, dying in relative obscurity.
You see, I'm not Mr. Morris.
Oh, I thought you said that.
No.
Hank Rolik portrayed Barney Dunn in 1977 at 50, playing a friendly and good-natured character who was always willing to help others. Unfortunately, his real life was far less stable, acting opportunities were scarce, and financial insecurity plagued him for most of his career. He was forced to take on menial jobs to survive, from working as a security guard to driving taxis, each a painful reminder of his declining status in Hollywood. His personal life fared no better. After 20 years of marriage, his wife left him, taking their 2 children, who later chose to have little contact with him. Loneliness consumed him in his later years, as former colleagues moved on and his health deteriorated. He became reclusive, battling both physical ailments and depression. On October 14, 2002, at 75, he passed away from undisclosed causes, his death barely making headlines, a tragic end for a man who had once brought joy to audiences.
Stop this nonsense right now. Just stop it. Stop it.
Miss Wilson, here are the tools you asked for.
Wolfman Jack played the MC in 1976 at 38, using his unmistakable raspy voice and dynamic stage presence to breathe life into the role. Already a legendary DJ by the time he appeared on What's Happening, his fame brought him wealth, but it also introduced him to a world of excess. His marriage of over 30 years was turbulent, marred by his countless infidelities and a relentless party lifestyle. His daughter felt neglected, and though he attempted to reconnect later in life, the wounds ran deep. A heavy drinker and drug user, he spent years masking his inner demons with substance abuse, leaving his body weakened. After returning home from a promotional tour on July 1st, 1995, he collapsed from a fatal heart attack at 57. His death shocked fans, but for those who knew him, it was the inevitable consequence of a life filled with indulgence and regret.
I tell you, they are dynamite out of sight, just like a little bitty Gladys Knight in the Pee-wee pit. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give him a 10. Yeah.
Davis Roberts played Mr. Bradley in 1977 at 60, embodying a respectable and authoritative mentor figure. A seasoned character actor, he had spent his career accepting whatever small roles he could get, never achieving the recognition he longed for. His struggles with rejection took a toll on him, and though he once had a wife, his brief marriage ended in divorce, leaving him alone for most of his life. With no children or close family, he aged in solitude, watching younger actors surpass him while he remained forgotten. In his later years, he suffered from emphysema, his breathing becoming increasingly labored, yet he continued to work whenever possible, unwilling to accept complete obscurity. On July 18, 1993, at 76, he succumbed to complications from the disease, dying quietly with few mourning his loss. A tragic end for a man whose talent had gone largely unappreciated.
Just tell us how you heard about the surprise test.
How did you know Miss Collins was going to give a surprise test in history yesterday?
I'm sorry, Mr.
Rosalind Cash portrayed Loretta in 1976 at 38, playing a strong, intelligent woman who provided wisdom and guidance to the younger characters. In real life, Cash was an immensely talented actress who faced relentless discrimination in Hollywood, constantly fighting against the industry's racial limitations. Though she had romantic relationships, she never married, unwilling to compromise her independence. Without children, she poured everything into her career, yet despite her immense talent, she never received the mainstream success she deserved. As she aged, roles became even scarcer, and she withdrew from public life. When diagnosed with cancer, she kept her battle private, enduring it largely alone. On October 31, 1995, at 56, she passed away, her immense contributions only beginning to be recognized after her death. A bittersweet legacy for a woman who had given so much to an industry that never fully embraced her.
That way it gives you a better view of the apartment.
Bill, please.
There'll be no bill.
Sorrel Booke portrayed the scheming and sharp-witted Mr. Finley in What's Happening. In 1978, at the age of 48, displaying his trademark comedic timing. Though celebrated for his ability to bring humor to villainous roles, Booke yearned to be taken seriously as an actor, a dream that never fully materialized. His personal life was no less complicated. His marriage to Miranda ended in a bitter divorce after years of tension, and his children, Rachel and Stephen, distanced themselves from him, struggling with his erratic moods and worsening alcoholism. His once thriving career declined in the late 1980s, forcing him to take on roles he found beneath him just to survive. Diagnosed with colorectal cancer in the early 1990s, he fought a losing battle, his condition deteriorating as he spent his final days in increasing isolation. On February 11, 1994, at 64, he succumbed to the disease, dying alone and largely forgotten by the industry he had once entertained.
$2 an hour. Okay, $2.50.
Roger, you're getting $5 an hour. And here's 4 hours in advance.
Warren Berlinger played Ben Martin in What's Happening. In 1977, at the age of 40, bringing humor and charisma to the role. Despite his cheerful on-screen persona, Berlinger struggled behind the scenes with the reality that his once promising career had plateaued. Once seen as a rising star, he gradually found himself relegated to minor supporting roles, a painful reminder of dreams unfulfilled. His marriage to actress Betty Lou Keim provided some stability, but financial difficulties put a strain on their relationship, especially as they raised their 4 children. Berlinger took any role he could find, sometimes accepting parts he found humiliating just to make ends meet. As he aged, cancer ravaged his body, leaving him frail and in constant pain, his once bright presence dimmed by illness. On December 2, 2020, he passed away at 83, his death marking the quiet and tragic end of a career that had promised so much but delivered so little.
Give it to him.
Oh, here. It starts, Dear Mr. Thomas.
Give me that. I can read.
You better get you a lawyer.
Percy Rodriguez played Todd Miller in What's Happening. In 1977, at the age of 59, bringing a calm and authoritative presence to the role. A pioneer for black actors, Rodriguez had a commanding voice that led to numerous voiceover roles, but Hollywood rarely gave him the leading man status he deserved. Behind the scenes, his life was marked by hardship. Twice divorced, he had a fractured relationship with his only son, Malcolm, who resented his father's relentless devotion to an industry that never fully embraced him. Financial difficulties plagued Rodriguez in his later years as work became scarce, forcing him to live modestly despite decades in entertainment. The loneliness of his later life was compounded by health struggles, and as his kidney function deteriorated, he withdrew from public life entirely. On September 6, 2007, he died at 89 from kidney failure, passing away quietly, his contributions to Hollywood largely overlooked.
In 1620, who landed at Plymouth Rock?
The Plymouths.
No!
Dick Van Patten played Mr. Claxton in What's Happening. In 1976, at the age of 48, bringing warmth and stability to the role. Though beloved as a fatherly figure on television, he faced lifelong struggles with feeling like a second-tier performer, never quite reaching leading man status. His marriage to Patricia endured for decades, but beneath the surface, he was consumed by professional insecurity, constantly seeking roles that would give him the validation he craved. His relationship with his son, Vincent, was strained, as Vincent resented his father's prioritization of Hollywood over family life. In later years, Van Patten's health declined due to diabetes, leading to a series of strokes that left him weak and dependent on others. As his once strong spirit faded, he spent his final years reflecting on the missed opportunities of his career. On June 23, 2015, at the age of 86, he passed away from complications of diabetes, his death marking the quiet end of a long but bittersweet career.
What part did you play in Jaws?
I was his main meal.
Well, you see, the actor that we're going to hire for the...
Irene Cara played Maria in What's Happening. In 1977, at the age of 18, portraying a passionate and ambitious young woman determined to rise above her struggles. Though her role was brief, it was a stepping stone to her later success in Fame, 1980, and Flashdance, 1983. Despite her stardom, the industry turned its back on her, legal battles over unpaid royalties drained her finances, and she was blacklisted, leading to years of isolation. She married stuntman Conrad Palmisano in 1986, but the marriage ended in divorce in 1991, leaving her alone with no children. As the years passed, she withdrew from public life, battling depression and health issues in obscurity. On November 25, 2022, at 63, she died in her Florida home due to complications from hypertension and high cholesterol, a heartbreaking fate for a woman whose voice had once defined a generation.
Too, Maria. Mi nombre es Dueno.
Hello, Dueno, ¿y cómo está usted?
Oh, by all means.
Jeff Corey played Hassan in What's Happening. In 1978, at the age of 64, portraying a mysterious yet wise character who provided guidance and wisdom to the younger generation. A gifted actor with a sharp intellect, Corey had once been a rising Hollywood star in the 1940s. But his career was shattered in 1951 when he was blacklisted for refusing to cooperate with the House Un-American Activities Committee. Branded a communist sympathizer, he was forced into near poverty, unable to find acting work. Reinventing himself as an acting teacher, he mentored future legends such as Jack Nicholson, Leonard Nimoy, and Jane Fonda, yet the pain of being cast out by Hollywood never left him. His marriage to Emily Corey endured, but the humiliation and financial struggles of his blacklist years weighed heavily on him. As he aged, his physical health deteriorated, and the industry that had once exiled him largely forgot his contributions. On August 16, 2002, At 88, he suffered a devastating fall in his home, which led to his death.
Hello, my name is Dee Thomas, and this is my brother and his friends.
Yes, we've met before. How do you do? My name is Hassan.
Hello, Mr. Hassan. We'd like to see the console, please.
Earl Bowen played Judge Barnes in What's Happening? In 1977, at the age of 36, portraying a fair but strict legal figure. Although widely recognized for his role as Dr. Silberman in the Terminator films, Bowen was a classic character actor, forever in the background of Hollywood, never quite breaking into leading roles. Despite his prolific career in television and voice acting, he harbored a deep fear of being forgotten, of merely being a footnote in entertainment history. His marriage to actress Carole King was a source of comfort, but their inability to have children left him feeling as though he lacked a legacy. In late 2022, his worst fears became reality when he was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, a cruel and unforgiving fate. The once steady work offers dried up as his health deteriorated, leaving him to contemplate his mortality in the quiet of his final months. On January 5, 2023, at the age of 81, he succumbed to the disease.
Sorry. Truly sorry.
Janet McLaughlin played Mrs. Cavendish in What's Happening? In 1976, at the age of 43, portraying a kind and supportive figure. A talented actress who fought against racial barriers in Hollywood, McLaughlin's career never reached the heights she had hoped for, and she often found herself in small, thankless roles. She never married, dedicating herself entirely to her craft, but as time went on, loneliness became an ever-present companion. Without a family of her own, she relied on close friends for emotional support, but the instability of her career left her struggling financially. As she aged, her health declined, and cardiovascular disease took its toll, leaving her weakened. A heart attack in 2010 landed her in the hospital, where she passed away on October 11, 2010, at the age of 77. Her death a quiet and somber conclusion to a life of perseverance in an industry that never truly rewarded her efforts. Lee Chamberlain portrayed Lee in What's Happening? In 1977, at the age of 39, embodying a nurturing and supportive presence. Though a gifted actress, Hollywood never fully embraced her, limiting her to smaller roles that failed to showcase her full talent. Her personal life mirrored her professional struggles. Her marriage to Daniel was one of obligation rather than passion, leaving her emotionally adrift. She poured her love into her son, Michael, but the absence of a fulfilling relationship left her with a lingering sadness. In her later years, she was diagnosed with cancer but kept her suffering private, unwilling to burden others. By the time she sought treatment, the disease had spread aggressively. She passed away on May 25, 2014, at 76, leaving behind a career that never gave her the recognition she deserved. Charles Siebert played Mr. Ramsey in What's Happening? In 1977, at the age of 39, portraying a shrewd and calculating character who often found himself entangled in various schemes. Despite his extensive television career, Siebert remained largely overshadowed, with his name rarely headlining major productions. His first marriage to Catherine ended in heartbreak, as his relentless dedication to acting left his wife and 3 children feeling abandoned. Though he later remarried Christine, the same pattern of neglect persisted, leaving him emotionally disconnected from his loved ones. As he aged, his declining health, coupled with a sense of professional unfulfillment, led to a reclusive existence. The once charismatic actor became a shadow of himself, battling loneliness and regret. On May 1, 2022, at 84, he succumbed to COVID-19 related pneumonia, his contributions to television largely forgotten by the industry he had devoted his life to. Malachi Throne played the consul in What's Happening? In 1978, at 50, portraying a diplomatic and strategic figure. A versatile and commanding actor, Throne found himself stuck in Hollywood's cycle of typecasting, forever the supporting player but never the star. His deep voice and imposing presence were his greatest strengths, yet they kept him confined to similar roles, preventing him from reaching greater heights. His marriage to Judith grew tense as financial worries mounted, and though they had 2 sons, his professional disappointments cast a heavy cloud over their home. In his later years, his bitterness deepened, and his once powerful voice was weakened by lung cancer. As Hollywood moved on without him, he became increasingly isolated, his achievements fading into obscurity. He passed away on March 13, 2013, at 84, his legacy reduced to fleeting memories in an industry that had long forgotten him. Who is your favorite character and what's happening? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.